Part 3 of the poem begins with the mariner witnessing the haunting deaths of his fellow crew members as their souls escape their bodies like arrows, disappearing into the abyss. The mariner is left alone, with only the corpses of his shipmates for company. This marks the beginning of his profound isolation and his descent into despair. The mariner is surrounded by a desolate and icy landscape that mirrors his internal desolation. The ship, trapped in ice and isolated from the world, becomes a powerful symbol of his loneliness and alienation. The mariner confronts the severe consequences of his actions, namely the killing of the albatross, causing an irreversible rift between himself and the world around him. Suddenly, the mariner begins to undergo a subtle transformation. Despite his dire circumstances, he becomes aware of the beauty and wonder of the natural world around him. In the midst of dead crew members and the terrifying empty sea, he notices the simple beauty of the water snakes, the gleaming fish that glide effortlessly across the ocean surface. This is a turning point for the mariner, where he begins to appreciate life's resilience and magnificence, marking the initial steps of redemption. The eerie appearance of the ghostly ship carrying death and life and death introduces an element of supernatural terror. The two spectral figures cast dice for the mariner's soul, with life and death ultimately claiming victory. This event adds layers to the themes of death, suffering, and the prospect of salvation. Even though life and death triumphs, hinting at a never-ending suffering, the mariner's newfound understanding of nature provides solace. With death seemingly imminent, he senses a strange kinship with the humble water snakes, realizing that he is part of a larger, interconnected system of life. This brings forth a flicker of hope and a deeper sense of peace, despite his grim circumstances. The thematic layers are threaded through vivid and striking imagery, as demonstrated by Coleridge's descriptions of the decaying bodies and the icy seascape. The powerful symbolism within the poem is evident in death and life and death, serving as representations of the mariner's choices. Coleridge employs repetition to emphasize the depth of the mariner's isolation, as seen in repeated phrases like alone, alone, all alone, underscoring his seclusion. Sound devices such as alliteration and assonance amplify the poem's haunting musicality. Onomatopoeia immerses the reader in the sensory experience. The hissing snake and crackling ice seem to echo vividly in the reader's imagination. Part 3 is pivotal in the mariner's arc, illustrating how his initial isolation and despair lay the groundwork for a profound change in perspective. Through his newfound admiration for nature, he begins his arduous journey toward redemption. He learns to see himself as part of a larger whole, interconnected with the world and the creatures that inhabit it. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Part 3, is a significant passage that plunges the mariner into deeper isolation only to eventually inspire the beginnings of his redemption. It underscores the burden of sin and the potential for penance. The poem emphasizes the role of compassion and appreciation for all things living as vital to overcoming guilt. Coleridge's use of rich stylistic devices enhances the narrative's emotional impact, painting an evocative image of the mariner's tumultuous spiritual journey.